Okay, just give me a minute. I got to open up the document. Let's see what I got here. Okay, so we'll go over the related stage code. This is in section 4 of the notes. Again, if you want to go to the link, you can. I'll just go do that for you. I've been recommending as a low bar just to do the CoCalc online version. Welcome to CoCalc. Just click that. Start a project, okay. And then what I'd recommend is always just start a new project, all right? And again, we're not, trying to save this stuff, but start a new project. What kind of project do you want to start? Sage worksheet. And then over here, just type the commands in, like reset. Remember, if you're doing the interactive CoCalc, you have to hit shift return. All right, X's of R. Shift return. Now, what do? Reset gives me a clean slate, so to speak. Defining X as a variable now tells Sage that now X is some variable. All right, now next thing I'm going to put in is this f of X problem. An equal sign is what's known as an assignment operator. I'm assigning to f of X 2 star. This should look familiar to you. X minus 2, quantity squared, plus 5. All right, remember, shift return. And then what I'll do is plot, P-L-O-T. And what I'm going to plot f of X. And this should be becoming more familiar to you, where I define like X min, X max. All right, put that down for you. You can play around with this. It doesn't have to be these numbers. Y min. Again, remember, if you make a mistake typing, the machine's not going to blow up. I got to look with it. 30, right? I'll put that over there. Shift return. And what happens? It graphs the picture. Now, I want to point out, looking at the picture, you should have some sense what you're looking at over here. I'm looking at the graph of f of X. The vertex should be at the number, the point 2, 5. Well, I'm looking at that, and I'm seeing the vertex here, 2, 5. I am seeing that. All right, what is it? A graph of a parabola. Fairly simple. All right, I'm going to close this out now. Again, I would recommend using CoCalc online. And what I want to do is just go to what's called an installed version of the software. And I installed this on my computer, Sage, and it's running on my computer. So I'm going to use a terminal. And what I want to do is just emphasize to you that in the notes, I often put like this Sage code in for you. And someone says, well, I'm not interested. And we're not saying you have to be interested. We're saying if you're thinking about moving forward in a STEM-related career, you're going to have to learn some tools. And one of the tools to learn is a computer algebra system. So if you just scroll back in the notes, I'm going to scroll back to where I see some Sage code, and I see some right over here. And I'm going to type it in. All right, this is my computer, running it on my computer. Reset. I don't need to hit shift return, just a return is fine. And I'm going to define 2 variables, X and B. And they're variables. The variables are going to be X, and the other variable is B. Again, it's in a good habit. Get in a good habit of defining your variables. Return. Now, X and B are now variables to Sage. I'm going to assign f of X, which is a function. I'm going to assign it minus X squared. That's BX. Excuse me. Let's see. Whoops. I'm not saying whoops. Minus 12. All right. Remember, if I type in something crazy, it's not going to deal with it. So what do I do over here? Solve. And again, you may wonder what this is. It's the problem. What problem are we talking about? We're doing this problem over here. Number 5. All right. I'm using a computer to do it now. Now, again, these problems are simple enough to do by hand, but the reason to learn Sage now, although we do this by hand, is in the future, if you do go into a STEM-related career, you won't be able to do many problems by hand. They're just too difficult. You need machine, heavy lifting, so to speak. What do I want to solve? F of B, divide by 2. Again, it has a lot to do with what we did by hand, or what you did by hand. Excuse me. I want to point out a double equal sign. I'm saying that's an equation now. And what's that equation doing? It's taking the function f of X, substituting B over 2 in it, and then solving it for 52. And I'm going to say solve for B. return. And what does it say? B is minus 16 or 16, just like we did by hand. Okay. Now someone says, why would I learn to do things by hand? You'll never get to the stage of doing things on a computer unless you can do simple things by hand. And we're trying to teach those simple things by hand. Reasoning skills, reading something, understanding what you've read, writing down what needs to be done, and then doing what needs to be done, paper and pencil. Of course, I'm going to do one other application for you. All right. And the other application I'm going to do is I just want to go to graphing software and commercial software. All right. So I'm going to go back over here. And I want to do this problem using commercial software. And the commercial software I want to use is Grapher. All right. I want to use Grapher. So what do I want to type in? Well, Grapher is a little bit easier for me to use. And I'll be honest with you, it's commercial software. So what do I want? Y equals, that's like a function f of x, 2 parentheses x minus 2 squared plus 5. That's graph. And someone says, oh, I don't see it. And what I need to do is, yeah, I don't see it either. So what I need to do is it's got to be somewhere, right? Now, if I have reasoning skills, I'll know where it is. And where's it supposed to be? Well, the vertex is at 2, 5. So it's up here. So I'm going to drag that around. And I'm starting to see it now. I'm going to zoom out. You see what I'm doing? Zoom out. I get it all zoomed out. Equalize axis. And I'm going to put in some features here. And I'm going to plot. You may say, what do you want to plot? I want to plot the vertex. So let me do that. The vertex of point. And I'm going to edit the points. Let me just delete. There's too many points there. And what I said the vertex was 2. Whoops. 2, 5. All right, let's take a look. And I'm seeing the vertex now, exactly where I expected it. Now, what else would I like to put down? Well, mth119, you put the axis symmetry down. So let's put that down. New equation. And that equation is going to be x equals, not y equals, x equals 2. All right. Now, typically, we put the axis symmetry as a dotted line. And I have a lot of control. And by the way, in Sage, you have a lot of control, too. I mean, a tremendous amount of control over what you're doing in Sage. So let me just change the line. I'm going to change it to dashed. Give me 1 second. And I'll change the color to magenta. All right, close this out. And that's a better looking picture. All right, again, you can drag this around. If you want, you can zoom in and zoom out. I want to do a bit of box around it because I'm interested in these features over here. All right, I could equalize the axis again because it's get the scale proper. All right, could push up. Let me go through that again with you. Let me zoom out a little bit. But again, I want to point out you have a lot of control over this, tremendous control. All right. And, certainly I'm seeing a y-intercept. I'm seeing a vertex, axis symmetry. I'm seeing the parabola. I'm going to just grab one more point. And what point do I want to put in there? I'm going to edit the points. Delete these guys over here. And again, I'm not saying you have access to this application. What I'm saying is you should know there's a variety of applications out there. And what's the y-intercept going to be? It's where x is 0, right? Now, again, I have to compute that number. When x is 0, what would you get? Well, you'd get, let's see, 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 plus 5 is 13. Now, granted, I make mistakes sometimes, but I want to plot it and see how good I did. And what do I notice? That's exactly where I expected the y-intercept to be. All right, exactly where you expected it. So again, I claim is, someone says, well, do I need to learn this application? Well, if you're moving forward in STEM, you need to learn applications that help you solve problems. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. But again, it's not required. All right. We're just trying to get your feet wet and move you forward. Moving forward, though, really largely depends on what your activities are. Thank you.